there, friends. We are doing a little bit of gardening work today because it's a beautiful day. It's actually pretty hot out here. And I am just about finishing up with the majority of the work that I have done for the day. I'm filling up a container here that I'm going to be using to fill up some of my watering buckets with. I'm not going to fill it super full, but it's also going to be something that I use for my bees. I use an old, it's actually new, I never used it, one of the nesting pad plastic ones, and I just kind of toss it in there. It actually floats pretty good. If I can show you. It actually floats pretty good, and you need to have that for the bees so that they don't drown. They have to have a landing pad or a beach area. So we are just getting things set up here for the end of the hot part of the day. And I'm going to show you pretty much what we've done so far. What I was showing you in the beginning was my watering setup that we have here. I'm going to bring you closer. Turn you through the fence. What I have is one of those ICB totes, and off of my well house, the water that we have for the well, we have a gutter, and the rainwater goes into my ICB tote. We wrapped it in plastic garbage bags so that we don't get algae growth for the most part in there. The only bad thing about that is it's difficult to tell what your water level is. And gravity fed, follow the hose, and it goes into that container is what I've been filling up, but I'm going to be using my little can waterer, and I can use it as a hose as well too. Some chicken eggs are ready today, and this is what we've been working on. So I got my tiller out and I busted up all of this and created rows, and I'm going to put hay on the rows and more wood chips in the walkways, which that's going to be a walkway, and that's going to be a walkway, and that's going to be a walkway, and by the fence line is going to be another walkway. I've got my honeybees going. We had moved them from the hill, and they are definitely working and busy doing their stuff. This was the hive that had died earlier this year. They got wet, they froze, I believe. But these ones have been good. They're Italian honeybees. They're pretty docile. I've been working in here all day, and they have been just, doing their thing. They've been pretty good. I was going to show you also this here is a new acquisition that I got from Aldi. It's a little greenhouse. It was like 35 bucks. I'm starting to get all my seedlings and putting them in here. I got some tomato plants already, and I've got some canna lilies that I'm growing. They're not looking so great. I'm not sure what the deal is. I think they probably need some kind of fertilizer. And then here on the other side is the chicken coop and our little run. I'm gonna kind of explain to you. I got two sections of the garden, the back half and the front half here. What we did was we had put mulch chips throughout the entire garden, but this back half we did first, and then like maybe a month or two later we did this half here. I didn't till this in through here. I let it stay. I might have probably needed to till it, but I just chose not to. The back half of the garden, when we first started putting mulch in, I only put in about 8 inches worth of mulch, and then the forward half I put in probably about 12. It's been a very wet winter. It rotted down beautifully. I have a bunch of soil that I did not have. If you look specifically at this walkway in through here, I'll walk closer so you can see it. I have scraped it down basically to the subsoil of where I had originally started with. My soil looked like that over there. It's subsoil. You can see back up in the woods up in there. It looks kind of darker. There is topsoil there, but it's very, very thin. 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch if I'm really lucky. The rest of it is basically like this clay loam is what they say. But as far as growing vegetables, that is more what you actually need. So I did some things in years past, it didn't work so good. So just looking at concepts and kind of following permaculture ideas, I decided that I needed to have high volume of material. And then when we had the chickens, that man door that I have right there, I propped that open and I put a net gate across fencing, so that the first couple months they had the run, and then they had that portion of the garden. Back and through here I was still growing stuff, and then once I was done last year, we finished mulching it off and we let the chickens have the whole thing. And they were in here for a good like 4 months, probably longer than they should have been, but they did a really good job of fertilizing it and turning it up. And then since then they have had the whole woods to roam and to clean up my ticks and everything. So for the most part, I would say things have been actually pretty good. What I plan on planting in this area is the narrower, these 2 rows here are going to have onions, and these 2 fatter rows are going to have potatoes. And you can kind of see the color, see how it's more tan brown or whatever, rather than the dark. This was my original subsoil, and this is hard. This is not easy to bust up and to grow anything in. Even this, when I was breaking it up, was still fairly compacted, so it really did need to be broken up, especially for something that was going to be a root crop. And what I'm going to do now is cover all the mounds with some straw that I have here, and then I got to get my chipper out, and I'm gonna put my wood chips in the walk areas, which will make it look nicer, number one, but then it's already starting with getting on for next year with, I'll have all that wood chips down, and I'll be able to have basically the whole composting type system continuing throughout the summer. Once the garden is done for the year, I'll end up bringing the chickens back in and putting more mulch in and covering up everything, and basically repeating the whole process. But that is pretty much it for the garden, and hopefully all this work will pay off and we'll actually have a really good garden this year. All right, that's it for now. Let's see if I can get my my boring bee. You can see him right there. It's mating season for them, so you'll see them kind of like fight each other in the sky right now. But anyway, enjoy y'all's day, and remember, you are the goal. It is all covered up. My rows covered with straw, and then my walkways that I'm going to have to put the mulch on. And one thing I wanted to mention about this that I forgot was the reason why we cover things is that soil, Mother Nature, if you will, is kind of modest. That's how I look at it. It wants to be covered. Having bare soil is never usually a good thing. All the good things that I made into mounds here, there is such a thing as called soil subluxation. The oxygen and some of the things that are in the soil can actually just dissipate into the atmosphere. So we don't want that to happen. So we want to try and cover things up as much as possible. Obviously it prevents erosion and those kinds of things, and it will help maintain the integrity of the mounds or whatever it is that you're trying to do. But we want to make sure that all the hard work that we've done with trying to build soil and have healthy soil so that we can grow healthy vegetables is going to retain in the soil for as much and as long as possible. And that same goes for, even though in my rows in here it's kind of the subsoil, it still needs to be covered. I'll get the mulch and I'll have that all filled in and everything, but we want to try and keep things as covered up as possible, because even with this, if I worked at it, if I busted it up some more, I could probably get it soft enough and do something with it, as opposed to that soil, which is like concrete. It's terrible. So this is obviously a big time investment, but once you get you know, the system down, you do your first year, you're not going to get a lot of vegetables or whatever out of it, but you do your first year with the mulching and with the chickens and or the manure, whatever, you got cattle, whatever. Make sure it's good, healthy manure. You don't want to get something that's, you know, poisoned. You'll end up having a good yield. At least that's the hope. And that says so, Mr. Scarecrow. All right, y'all take care now.